And I'm still not sure there's any good reason to draw a picture of Christ. I just don't see it. I don't know exactly how it came into play. But you're getting into a situation where now you have a picture of a man and you're saying he's God. And that's clearly outside of the basic commandments given to us by Jehovah. Cross, I haven't thought too much about it. I mean, we're called to carry our cross and do things associated with the cross. So it is a symbol of Christianity. Once again, it's carried by both believers and unbelievers. I wouldn't say there's anything that would prohibit you from wearing a cross. I don't see anything that would command you to wear a cross. And it comes down to the state of the heart. Are you wearing it as part of your service to the Lord, or are you wearing it because it's a symbol of idolatry? And that's a personal decision.
Okay.
So where were we? So watch verse 15. So watch yourselves carefully, since you did not see any form on the day the Lord spoke to you at Hebron from the midst of the fire. So, to me, why even get into those gray areas? Why have a picture of Christ? It's certainly, at best, a gray area and could be in violation of the commandments. Why carry a cross? Why wear a cross? Why put a fish symbol on your car? Why get into those things which certainly are gray at best? But if others do it as unto the Lord, who am I to judge them? Okay, let's continue at 16.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So that you do not act corruptly and make a graven image for yourselves in the form of any figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any animal that is on this earth, the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the sky, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, the likeness of any fish that is in the water below the earth. And beware not to lift up your eyes to heaven and see the sun and the moon and the stars, all the hosts of heaven, and be drawn away and worship them and serve them. Those which the Lord your God has allotted to all the peoples under the whole heaven.
Okay, let's stop there. So here, this is a very common thing where you have sun and moon and star worship. Astrology.
Yeah.
Worship the stars. I did a little bit of visiting the old Indian ruins in the southwestern part of the United States, and they were all sun worshippers. They had little temples to the sun god. The moon god, some attribute the Islam to the selection of the moon god from their many deities, and attribute that to Allah, but I can't confirm or deny that. So these things are all things pagan form, non-Christian, non-Jewish forms of worship. I'll continue at verse 20.
Okay.
But the Lord has taken you and bought you out from the iron furnace from Egypt to be a people for his own possession as today. Now the equivalent here is we've been bought out of the slave market of sin through Christ's sacrifice. Now the Lord was angry with me on your account, and swore that I would not cross the Jordan, and that I would not enter the good land which the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. For I shall die in this land. I shall not cross the Jordan, but you shall cross and take possession of this good land. So watch yourselves that you do not forget the covenant of the Lord your God which he made with you, and make for yourself a graven image in the form of anything against which the Lord has commanded you. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. When you become the father of children and children's children, and have remained long in the land, and act corruptly, and make an idol in the form of anything, and do that which is evil in the sight of the Lord your God, so as to provoke him to anger, I call heaven and earth to witness against you today, that you shall surely perish from the land where you are going over the Jordan to possess it. You shall not live long on it, but you shall be utterly destroyed. So here you have a principle that continues through the Torah, is that if you're obedient to God's commandments, you'll receive blessing and military victory. If you're disobedient to God's commandments, you'll receive discipline and destruction. The Lord will scatter you among the people, and you shall be left few in number among the nations where the Lord has driven you. So this is actually the current state of Israel. Not that they're few in numbers, but they're scattered among the nations. And it had happened time and time again in the Old Testament. If you go through here and read through Joshua, they never did fulfill God's commandments to take the land. They ended up making a treaty with one group, so they remained in the land rather than to destroy them. And I don't think they fully conquered the entire land area that was granted to them. They stopped before they were happy with what they had, so they stopped. They didn't continue God's commandment.
So you heard of some people winning the Medal of Honor and such, right?
Mm-hmm.
So God would utterly destroy the ones that don't obey His commandments.
Mm-hmm.
So, say the people that win the Medal of Honor. I mean, they're not Christian, but they still win it. But why?
I can't answer that. We'd have to look at a specific detail whenever you generalize. But I can tell you about Sergeant York. There's a movie about him. He won the Medal of Honor in World War I, and he was actually wanted to be a conscientious objector. He believed that thou shalt not murder even applied to military warfare. And he joined the military because I guess there was a draft, or for some reason he ended up being required to join the military. But he struggled with being a conscientious objector. And eventually the Lord gave him enough light to say that it was okay for him to fight in World War I on the side of the Americans, or the side of England and France and the United States against Germany. And as it turned out, he was a great shot. He grew up, in a rural area in the South, and he was a very good shot. And he used that ability to basically capture a large number of Germans single-handedly. And that's clearly a case where you had a positive believer, an obedience of God's commandments, handing a far superior enemy over into his hand. And that's what God says He'll do. Now, are there examples where unbelievers disobedience?
Was York, was he Christian? Or?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, most definitely. He was so obedient to God's commandments, he was actually getting on the legalistic side where he didn't even want to fight in the military. Conscientious objector says, for religious reasons I can't kill. Even though the scriptures authorize killing in military conflict, the conscientious objector is somebody whose religion says I can't kill, and they take that legalistically.
Okay.
So you have cases where you have Medal of Honor winners who are obedient to God's commandments, where God did what He said He was going to do, which would be to destroy a superior enemy. So God does hold His word. Now, are there Medal of Honor winners who aren't Christians, aren't believers, or don't obey commandments? Possibly. I mean, I'm speculating. I don't know. But I do know of at least one winner who took this very seriously, and God upheld his side of the bargain.
Okay.
Verse 28. Okay, let's go back to 27. The Lord will scatter you among the people, and you shall be left few in number among the nations where the Lord shall drive you. There you will serve gods, the work of man's hand, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor smell, nor eat nor smell. So here you're dealing with idol worship. But from there you will seek the Lord your God, and you will find him if you search for him with all your heart and all your soul.